So I wanted to share some stuff that's been going on for me. I realised I haven't done much hypnosis or guided meditations, so I'm going to do one of them soon. But you might be able to sort of listen to what I'm talking about and listen in a certain way. Perhaps you're going for a walk, listening, or you're sitting down, and you can treat it a bit like a guided meditation. Maybe what I say will unlock something in you, or resonate, or it might make you ask questions or get in touch with how you connect with reality. Because today I'm talking about how we connect with the world, and we interface through the world through our senses. Everything is through the senses. So feelings on the skin, in the body, emotions, they're all feelings. Thoughts are images or sounds. They also have a kind of feeling, emotional kind of content to them. But yeah, everything is through the senses. Even when you're thinking about the past or the future, is an image or or words or sounds or feelings. So everything, absolutely everything, is experienced through the senses, and we don't really spend that long learning about that interface with the universe, with checking out what our senses are like and sitting with them. We normally just take any sensation as needing to do something, whether that's having a habitual action, like when we have a thought about something we have to act on it, or whether it's ruminating on it, so we just generate more thoughts from it. We don't often just sit with the sensations and go, that's interesting, there's more to that than I thought. Especially with the feelings part, we often feel that we've got pain in the body or an ache, or we might have an emotional pain or stress. But we don't often really explore that and go, oh, what does that actually feel like? Is it moving? And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes it's a bit like when a pet or a child is kind of worried or something, and you just sit with them and talk to them and just say, I'm here with you. Everything's fine. Tell me about what's going on for you. Sometimes when we have like emotional difficulties, we just have to sort of be with it, and for it to be experienced and witnessed in a certain way where we're there for it 100%. So when we sort of avoid connecting with that and we just do or ruminate about stuff, it doesn't really get what it wants. It doesn't get seen fully, and it just keeps happening, keeps bubbling up until it's seen. And often it comes up stronger. It's like, I'm not getting seen, so like let's try harder to get seen. Another thing that's coming up for me, and this sounds different, but I will tie it in together in a bit, and that is collapsing the dream. So I'm sure you can get this feeling of you're waking up from a dream, and it's it's quite a rich dream with lots of imagery, and it felt meaningful, it felt big. And then slowly as you're getting up, you're losing that dream. You're trying to collapse it down into like a narrative or words to make sense of it and take it with you, but you can't take all of it because it was some kind of multi-dimensional experience. It meant something on some emotional level or on some dimension you don't understand, but you can't bring it down into that doing energy, that kind of narrative, that story. Trying to put it into words, it just doesn't fit. And that's why it doesn't make sense. So in the dream, you might see your childhood home, but it's not really your childhood home, but it just feels like it. Or you were chatting to someone, but then you think, oh, it wasn't actually them, but it felt like it was them. Lots of stuff doesn't make sense. But on some emotional level, perhaps, some deeper part of the brain, it does make sense. And it made sense when you were in it. And some kind of process was happening. Some kind of reordering, some sort of letting go perhaps, some kind of messaging. But when you try and bring it back into the morning, as you wake up, you try and collapse it down into like a lower dimension, like a three-dimensional kind of concept. So you can kind of take it with you and learn from it. But it's very difficult. And you kind of try and take it into a to-do list. You're trying to make it into like, this means this, and that means I have to do this. It's a message, I have to do this. And that kind of collapses it down into a doing kind of place. But yeah, I'm sure you can all get that idea of collapsing down a dream, or trying to collapse a dream down. And it's like it goes through a filter, this doing filter that is too narrow to carry all that information with it. So it kind of gets lost in a way. But you have to be in this three-dimensional place. You have to wake up and do stuff. You get that cortisol shot in the morning of stress, and that's why your mind's busy in the morning, and it gets you going to do stuff, because we're on this physical plane. So you can't just stay in that dream world all that time and just to be doing nothing. We need to be on this physical plane doing stuff. And it also makes me think of, if you've ever done wine tasting or food tasting, and you're eating something and you like go, oh, is that paprika? Or someone will say the flavour that's in it, and you'll go, oh yeah, now I can feel it fully. Or maybe you've had wine and you're tasting it and you go, oh, it's nice, but then you read on the bottle or on the tasting notes that it's peachy, or tastes like peach, or another flavour, and you go, ah, yeah, it opens it up for you. And it almost feels stronger than it did before. That flavour really comes through once you label it. So I find this interesting, because this is kind of like a collapsing it down. So you're collapsing an experience of flavour there. That's one of the senses. Just as we were talking about experiencing the world through the senses. Flavour is a sense, and it's kind of beyond words. But then when you say a word that that resonates with you, like a taste of peach, or perhaps it's that taste of a chocolate, or white pepper, as soon as you say that, it kind of expands that experience. So just watch for that whenever you have some food or something like that, maybe a cigar or wine, something like that, and see if you can notice that kind of expansion. So I don't really have an answer here. I'm just saying it's interesting, because words tend to collapse experience down. So whenever we say, I'm feeling angry, that doesn't encapsulate the whole feeling. It would be very difficult, probably impossible, to say how you feel in words. It just can't be transferred like that. And that time when you're angry, it's not the same as at times you were angry before. Every time is different. And even as we know, probably in anger there's sadness under there, or a worry about control perhaps. So just words do not fit the full experiences that we get. But just watch for that, where a word will open up an experience. There's a kind of a suggestion there. But I've really noticed how it can really open something up. So just watch for when your experience expands or collapses. So where you try and collapse something down into something smaller, you try and collapse an experience down into words or a narrative or a to-do list. And also watch when words, or perhaps it's just giving the space for that. When you say peach, some part of you opens up, you pause and you bring a curiosity to the senses, and you go, ah, yes, I'm getting that now. And it feels more expansive because you've given it that moment. You've opened that space up for it, and that curious mindset to explore that. And that's really interesting. That's really interesting, because to me, your reality changes when you are in a different state. When you're in a more curious, open state, you'll take more of that scent, of that flavour in, of that sense, that sensation in. And whatever word you say will open it up in a different way. If you've got really into tasting food or wine or cigars, you can get these wheels of flavour, and they can be stuff like barnyard or hay or earth or grass. And sort of grass and hay, kind of similar, but they're not. But once you start sort of playing around with that level of detail, you will get those flavours coming through, and you will be able to recognise them. So what I'm saying is, be a sommelier for your experience. Be like a wine tasting expert for your life, for your senses, for what is going on inside you each moment. So yeah, just as I'm walking along now, I'm just going to do that. So as I'm walking along, I'm going to just say out loud what sensations I am tuning into. And I invite you to sort of just take this opportunity to do that for yourselves. So just tune in and take this opportunity to do that for yourself. So I can feel the sun on the right side of my face and on my arm. I can hear my feet on the ground, and now I'm going into the feeling of my soles of my feet. They're a bit tired. I can feel the ground below them. I can hear the wind in the trees, and something in the distance, maybe a car. And now I'm thinking about the horizon. I tuned into the sound of the horizon where the car was disappearing into. Just on the distance where sort of sounds disappear into. And now I'm thinking, I went to a thought there of, is this making sense? What does it look like? But I tune into that feeling, and I can feel it kind of up here, that kind of words and thinking. I can kind of feel it here. So I don't turn away from that. I bring that curiosity, what that feels like, that concentrating. I can kind of feel it here. And then I let my awareness go back to the air and the sound of the wind in the trees. And I can hear my feet on the ground again. And then I go into my feet again, because my awareness went to my feet. I can then went to the feeling of the ground there. My feet feel warm. I can now feel my toes. And then a tree got noisy over there with the wind. I went to that. And as you notice, I am moving around quite quickly. My awareness is moving around quite quickly. And I like doing it this way because with most meditations or mindfulness, we often have this feeling that we have to force the awareness to stay on a certain thing, on a certain point of concentration. And some meditation is like that. But this type of meditation, you can let the awareness go and you're watching wherever it goes. And I find it a really easy way in. And it's also quite useful because in real life, like I'm walking around talking and I'm just being a bit more present. I'm bringing some mindfulness to a doing activity. I know if I was doing it fully, I would not be talking to the camera, I get that. But this is an exercise I can do. I can feel the wind on my back, it's nice and cool now. I thought about the sun, that the sun has gone down a little bit. That was a bit of an image in my mind, and I was thinking up near my head. So even with thoughts, you can kind of feel them in different locations. You can tune into where you feel them in the body, in the mind. And now I can feel that there's people around and I'm aware of my camera, so I'm just trying to feel that in my body. I felt like the lens of attention was on me then. So that felt like a slight tightening inwards of my awareness and my nervous system activating. So I just sit with that as I carry on walking. And I don't know why I'm smiling a little bit now, and I can feel that the muscles at the side of my mouth just kind of rising on their own. And I can hear people playing in the park around me. And that feels good. I feel a happiness of people just playing and having fun in the sun. I can feel a tiredness in my shoulder from holding the camera. And so I go into that feeling, and it's a bit of an ache, it's a bit of warmth, it's moving, kind of pulsing a little bit. And I've got into that enough, so I'm going to change hands now. I'm following that feeling as in my right shoulder, as I've let go of put the camera in the other hand, and I can feel that kind of knot in the shoulder releasing. That feels good. So yeah, they were kind of becoming, I was wine tasting with sensations there. And so yeah, put that kind of openness as you would with a beautiful wine or a cheese or a coffee. Taste. Put that way of taste testing onto your sensations and anything you experience. And at some point I will do emotional wine tasting. So it's the same process when you just put the attention onto your senses, because all your emotions, all your problems are experienced through the senses as well. And it's just a different way of experiencing your emotions. And sometimes when you name an emotion, like, oh, I am angry, or oh yeah, I am worried, or I'm grieving, just naming it gives it space, and that allows you to connect with it, and that can let it go. So let me know what you experienced, and if you tune in, and if you can resonate with that feeling of naming something opens it up, or whether you think words collapse things down into smaller than they are.